Welcome to our raw vlog on X-Men Days of Future Past, coming to you live from about a mile from Universal Studios. Yeah, that's the closest they'll let us get. So I just saw X-Men Days of Future Past, and I was pleasantly surprised. I felt that the movie was super solid, and I also feel like it may be the best in the franchise. First Class comes close, and I like First Class because it's got a lot of fun, but I felt like this one, they really pulled it together, and good for you guys. Some of the things I loved in the movie was when you got to see a team of people fighting Sentinels and they're all using their powers and they're working together. We've never seen that before really in an X-Men movie, which is kind of surprising because that's what they fucking do all the time. And it was great to finally see it. I loved Blink. I thought she was fantastic. I loved watching her doing her teleporting thing. Surprisingly, Quicksilver was totally fucking rad. Like, he looked so bad on that Empire cover, and those Carl's Jr. commercials are unforgivable. But in the movie, he was fantastic, and I'm kind of sad that they didn't use him a little bit more because he was such a fun character. And I know that they were trying to tell a little bit more of a serious story, but it was so much fun to see a fun character. Like, I was just like, more of this, please. The thing that I love most about Quicksilver was, his one scene, I'm not going to spoil anything, but he has this one scene where he's using his powers, and it's just, he's having fun using his powers. And again, we've never really seen that in an X-Men film, and it was just so nice. It was such a breath of fresh air to see a mutant who's actually having fun with their mutation. And just like in First Class, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender did a fantastic job. Big ups actually to McAvoy. He had a really wonderful performance as Xavier. I really enjoyed watching him a lot. And then Fassbender's easy on the eyes too, if you know what I'm saying. But more than that, man, I still can't believe how ripped Hugh Jackman is. It's like every time you see him in one of these movies, he's just fucking bigger and bigger and bigger. How big is he fucking gonna get, man? Like that scene where you see him without the shirt on, and it's just like fucking layers of muscle. It was ridiculous. I wanted to like draw him or something. I was just like, what is that? A pattern I'm seeing develop that I really enjoy in the franchise is that the mutants are always tied in with world crises or something that's going on, whether it's, the Cuban Missile Crisis in First Class, or I'm not going to say anything about what this one was, but I like that, and I hope they continue doing that. I heard that the next X-Men film is supposed to be in the 80s, so I wonder what world event will tie into that. I think it's really smart to have mutant rights, mixed with political goings on in the world, because obviously mutant rights is also an allegory for minority rights. And I'm really glad that they stuck with the tone of First Class, because I really like the tonality of First Class and I really hate the tonality of all the other ones. So I'm glad that everything wasn't fucking blue and everybody was wearing leather and all that stuff. So good job. And part of this was because Matthew Vaughn was involved with the writing process of this one. He directed First Class and also helped to write First Class as well. So I hope that they keep Matthew Vaughn on for any other X-Men film that they do, because that guy, I like what he's doing with it. And I think that they did the absolute best that they could, tying up all this bad continuity and kind of making you forgive it, and then being able to move on and do something different. I think that they made a really smart move there, and again, good for you guys. A step in the right direction. Man, when I walked in that movie, I thought I might have to deal with another Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I was just so happy that this is just leaps and bounds, away from that mess. Ugh. I think Spider-Man's gonna be the first franchise to fail. That's my bet. And by the way, for those of you who have read the comic book Days of Future Past, this really isn't that. And I wasn't expecting that, though, so I really wasn't disappointed. So I've already learned my lesson that don't expect what's in the comics and the movies. And yeah. Now, as you all know, I was very apprehensive going into this film. And let me explain my reasoning to you. Because I feel like most people, their only experience with X-Men is through the movies. And so when you see this movie, you're like, oh my God, this is so good. And it is for the movie franchise. But if you're a person who's been reading the comics, who's been a big fan of X-Men since they were a little tiny girl, I have seen the mountain, okay? I've seen the top, and I can imagine something different. I do imagine something different. I have something completely different in my mind. And the thing that has bothered me the most about the X-Men franchise is the fact that they have yet to do the X-Men hanging out in the X-Mansion doing their thing, and then there's a problem, and then they got to go deal with the fucking problem, and then they come back, and then they have relationship stuff, and people the X-Men are always screwing each other randomly. They're always hooking up, and that's what's part of the fun of it, They're yet to portray the X-Men in their regular everyday lives, okay? They're a big, weird family, and that's what I love about them. I love the drama that they create, even more so than the villains that they have to fight. And again, you're gonna have to forgive me. I'm a fucking costume person, okay? I fucking love costumes and cosplay and all that stuff. And, after seeing the Avengers, after seeing how well those costumes worked and they made that work, I want to see the X-Men in some fucking costumes, man. I mean, it's they're colorful, they're big, they're bold. I want to see all of that good stuff. And again, I've yet to see it. So, the X-Men franchise just isn't my X-Men. Okay, and I'm having to just divorce the idea of it from the comics and just treat it like its own thing and just forget that it's anything like the comics for me to deal with it. And obviously this is my own personal problem, okay? I just have love for the X-Men coming out the wazoo. So, I'm very hard on this franchise because I love them so much. However, I do appreciate that even though this franchise had a really rocky start and they didn't know what they were doing, they've actually gotten better over time. And there's not many franchises out there that you can say has gotten better by the 6th movie. I'm counting the other 2 fucking Wolverine movies, okay? Those are still X-Men movies. And if you were going to go out and buy some Blu-rays, I would say just get the 2 X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past. I wouldn't bother with the rest of them. I also want to say, though, I want to see an X-Men film not through the lens of Wolverine's character. I'm a little tired of him. I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. He does a great job. God bless him. But I just want to see more characters get more screen time. And they did a lot better with that this time around, and I hope that they continue giving more characters more screen time. So in conclusion, there is a lot more to talk about with X-Men Days of Future Past. I have a lot of spoiler things to talk about, and we're going to talk about those on Plopcast number 21, coming soon to a Comic Book Girl 19 channel near you.